Hey everybody, so I am back with my 33-week update, and it has been, I feel like, a long week since last week, but then at the same time not. I feel like time goes by very fast, but I kind of have a little bit to update on. First, just like normal with the apps, this week they actually match, which I don't remember the last time that's happened. It's been a while. But at 33 weeks, the babies are supposed to be measuring between 4.2 and 4.5 pounds. And they are averaging the fruit or the vegetable or whatever, but this week it's a fruit. They're saying the babies are the size of a honeydew. So 2 little honeydews in here. We know that my babies have measured above normal this whole time. So, last week they were measured right around 5 pounds each. And if everything according to what they say is true, the babies could be weighing about 5.5 pounds at this point. They say that the babies gain about half a pound a week. Who knows how accurate those measurements are? I've heard anywhere from a pound to, plus or minus a pound. So we'll see. Obviously, we won't know until the babies actually get here, but I still think it's kind of fun to see the apps and see what they're comparing them to. And like I said, this week it's honeydew. So it's kind of mind-boggling that there's 2 of them in there, because I think a honeydew is a pretty good size fruit. So anyways, that's what's going on with that. I did have an OB appointment this week, and everything went well. The babies are looking good. These appointments, I'm now on like a 2-week checkup schedule with my OB, and the appointments are fine. They're just normal checkups, so I still get my ultrasound just to get the baby's heart rates. And this week the ultrasound was pretty uncomfortable. I can tell I'm being stretched pretty far. My belly is very tight all the time. And just having her, do the ultrasound, especially on this side where Lila sits, it was pretty uncomfortable. And then I felt like my stomach was going to be ripped out of my body, the bottom part of my belly. When they had me sit up, they assisted me to sit up, but it literally felt like the bottom part of my abdomen was ripping out of me. And I sat there for just a minute, and I was just like, oh God. And they were like, I'm sorry, are you okay? And I just had to sit there for a moment, and it took my breath away, and it took a few minutes just to kind of compose myself after that. So I'm just very uncomfortable. Things are hard to do. I obviously can't just sit up from a laying down position very well. It's not comfortable just to sit straight up. My ab muscles, being pregnant, they spread apart. And I'm measuring, when she did the measuring over the size of your belly, I'm measuring past a normal full-term pregnancy for a normal 1 baby. So, and I still have time to go. So you can just imagine, I'm huge, I'm uncomfortable, and sitting up like that, I'm pretty sure I tore some muscles. That's what it felt like. But that's what it's been feeling like getting in and out of bed. Just in general, I kind of have to roll my body in a certain way to make it so that I don't feel like I'm pulling a muscle, but it's not always that easy to do. So that happened, which is unfortunate. And I had my appointment this morning, so I still feel tightness and some tenderness. But at the appointment, we were discussing our options, and she said that Lila, our little girl, is still breech. She's what they call vertex breech. And what she was saying is that qualifies me to be induced, as opposed to if both babies were head down. I guess in her practice, they still would not induce me unless I had gone past probably the 39-week mark, maybe 40 week, which I'm honestly grateful for, because I can't imagine going that long, especially just with how things have been in the last week or so. So I have another appointment in 2 weeks, and at that point we can tell her if Chris and I have decided to go ahead and move forward with an induction date, and then we'll go ahead and schedule that. And I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen. you know, I like the idea of my body going into labor naturally, and who's to say that it won't? I mean, I still have time, so if I do go into labor naturally before the induction date, whenever date we set, were to happen, then that would be fine. And the reason is just because I know, you know, the chances of having to have a C-section when you're induced is like over 50% or something like that. And then on top of it, because Lila is breech, I already have a 50% chance of needing a C-section just for her. So we'll see how it goes. But I definitely feel like that's probably the best option for me at this point, just because of how big I am and how miserable and how painful things are. It's definitely sounding like the best option. So that's kind of, that was the big thing this week. And I had a lovely lady yesterday in the grocery store who still haven't been touched, thankfully, by any strangers, but she asked me, she was like, oh, when are you due? And I said, you know, I'm probably like a month and a half. This was obviously before my appointment today. And she goes, oh my God, you're huge. Without even thinking, without even, you know, she didn't even say anything else. And I was like, thank you. We're having two. There's two babies in there. And thankfully I can laugh about it. I think it's funny. I know that I'm huge and people look at me like, how is this person still pregnant? Because they don't realize obviously that there's two babies in there. But it just kind of baffles me, the things that people say, because I personally would never say that to somebody. But some people just don't have a filter, I guess. So that was kind of funny, but we're kind of getting to that point where I have a feeling comments like that are going to continue until these babies are out. I have been having some Braxton Hicks contractions, nothing crazy, no actual contractions, nothing worth measuring. And the Braxton Hicks usually happen in the evening and then they go away. It's just kind of normal, but I do, you know, they are uncomfortable. They're not painful so much as they just are very uncomfortable. But then they stop. And the other thing I wanted to touch on real quick was so we were taking this birthing class, and the way that they have it set up here is it's actually split into 4 separate classes. So it's not just like one, you know, for a few hours. It's 4 classes and they're 2 hours apiece. But last week was our first class, and then we have another one tonight, and then we'll have 2 more. So the first class was kind of interesting, and we went over basic labor terms, we like learned some terminology for when you're in labor and when you're in the labor and delivery area. That way you know kind of what people are talking about, and you know if they have questions. And then we did get to watch a few videos of actual births. And if you know me or my husband, we thankfully were sitting in the back of the class, but we couldn't help but laugh. We were giggling, and you know, they were older videos, so I'll just leave that to your imagination as to what things look like. It was probably filmed in like the early 90s. So, yeah, it was pretty funny. A lot of information. Yeah, it's a little intense watching that, just to think that that's what women go through, but it is. So, anyways, that was our first class. And then today, today I think is probably going to be my favorite class, because we get a tour of the hospital, we get a tour of the birthing suites that they have there, which is something I wanted to do and I was going to do separately, but obviously since our class offers it, we'll just go with that. And then we also, today is the day we get to practice birthing positions. So again, we'll probably be the kids in class laughing because we are 5 and can't take things seriously. But the tour of the hospital is what I'm most excited for. And then the other 2 classes we'll be talking about, after birth, possibly cesarean, which I, need to pay attention to, because there's a good chance that's probably what's going to happen. But so far, I liked the class. I liked the lady that taught it. I found it very informative. So yeah, kind of a lot going on last week. This next week, other than our birthing class, I don't have any appointments. The week after, I have an OB appointment. The week after that, I have a perinatal appointment, which we'll get to measure the babies one more time. And then after that, I don't know if I'll have another OB appointment before the induction date, which again, we haven't set or anything, but we'll set it at my next OB appointment, so in 2 weeks. But it's kind of crazy that we're getting down to the wire. I got pretty emotional when she was like, okay, you're within a month, and we can schedule this. And I was like, as you know, we're as ready as we are, and we're so ready and we're so excited. It's still really scary, and it's nerve-wracking, but it's like the most exciting thing. So I don't know, I was just a ball of nerves earlier. But anyways, that's my update this week. Next week the update probably will be a little shorter, just because all we'll have is the class to update on and how the tour went and stuff. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I am feeling not so great. My body's just kind of over everything. Everything hurts, specifically in my hips and my hip flexors and like my groin area. It's probably the most painful that I've ever experienced, like the most painful feelings. It's not constant, but it's just when I feel like I pull a muscle or when I move my legs the wrong way, it's pretty excruciating. So I am looking forward to picking like a date and knowing that that will be the end date, or at least the beginning of the end date, depending on how long it takes me to labor. So anyways, that's what I have, and I'll show you my gigantic belly that, you know, that lady told me I was huge. So 33 weeks. And again, just like normal, Caleb's on this side, head down, hasn't moved. Lila is on this side, head up, she's the reason why we can be induced. But yeah, there's the bump. It's very heavy. I'm ready. I'm so excited that we're towards the end. So anyways, I hope you guys all have a good rest of the week, and we'll talk to you soon.